Monday's market outlook here at T3 Live. Matthew Buckley, the chief option strategist. And where do we go today? We go up. Duh. Over the weekend, we got two, central banks more or less coming out with information, additional information. Obviously, the PBOC decision last week came out of the blue, and some leakage, so to speak, from heavies in China saying, "Hey, this is the first of many, so stand by." We got a whole beltload of quantitative easing here that we can unleash in China. So obviously, that's going to help the futures go higher. And over the weekend, a Portuguese central banker more or less said, "Hey, we're standing by to do bond purchases, sovereign bonds, and other assets." So, Mario Draghi more or less saying, "Hey, I'm going to do what we must to raise inflation and inflation expectations as fast as possible." So, again, game on. Central banks around the world just propping up markets, propping up liquidity, creating an even greater wealth gap, which just isn't going to it isn't going to end well. Okay, home prices dropped in September for the first time since January. Wasn't that big, but any decrease is a decrease, and that's usually not a good sign, right? Transports. Financials tend to lead us in and out of financial train wrecks, financial good and bad. But housing is also a potential canary in the coal mine. It's more of a super tanker doing 40 knots and making a turn to really impact the markets. Housing, as opposed to the transports and financials, when those things roll over hard or roll up hard, good and bad things happen. But keep an eye on housing. Okay, I'm down here in South Florida, obviously on the front lines of the housing war, and we're starting to see it soften a little bit down here as well. Starting to see those charter airplanes full of South Americans and folks from the Great White North and more or less everywhere, but here coming in and just doing all cash deals, buying entire floors of condos. Starting to see that soften a little bit. On the kind of strategic side here. Not good news out of Iran, and this is a sleeper story. Of course, the media is not going to cover, but today was a deadline for that nuclear deal with Iran. So what do we do? Since they didn't come to a deal, we lift sanctions. So we essentially are giving them a $700 million incentive to keep talking to us. This is not going to end well. I'm telling you, the Israelis are pushing up their timeline for a potential strike, and this is a sleeper story, folks. Benjamin Netanyahu has said he will not let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I believe him more than I believe John Kerry saying we're going to get a deal with these folks. So stand by for this to remember that the market only cares when it cares. Okay, not here at T3 Live on the option side of the house. We care well before other people care because we position appropriately. So knowing that this is underneath the radar is going to help us a lot. But it's a holiday shortened week. We got Thanksgiving obviously coming up this week, where the Eagles are going to defeat the Cowboys in glorious fashion. So trading is going to be thin, but in these thinly traded weeks, you have to be very, very careful because the market tends to, move around either a lot or a little based on the low volume, obviously. So a lot of folks on vacation this week, a lot of junior folks on the trading desks, and usually when the senior folks leave, the marching orders are don't mess anything up, don't touch anything. I'll be back the following Monday. So I expect us to trade flat to up this week. Really not that much on the flight schedule, on the economic flight schedule. Let's take a look at specifically what is going on this week. Nothing really here in the United States. We get a flash services PMI coming up here in about 11 minutes. Kuroda is going to be speaking Eastern time tonight, our time, obviously the Bank of Japan governor. Preliminary GDP on Tuesday is a potential market moving number. Obviously, GDP comes out in three types: advanced, preliminary, and final. Preliminary, advanced has the biggest impact because it's the earliest. So preliminary, I don't think it'll move the market that much, especially in a holiday shortened week. We'll get the conference board's consumer confidence number and the Richmond Fed. We'll get durable goods on a really quiet Wednesday, so that could move the market around on low volume. Personal spending, personal income definitely numbers I want to look at. Where are the consumers? Chicago PMI, new home sales. So Wednesday is a relatively chock full of macroeconomic data day, but not super market moving in my opinion. And then Thursday we know about, and then Friday is relatively quiet on the Western front, or I guess Eastern front, depending on which way you're facing. So have a great week, folks. I'm going to get ready for our weekly options live trading session. Have a safe and happy holiday with your friends, your family, your loved ones, and I'll be back with Tuesday's market sit rep here at T3Live.com.